Hello everyone, this is Do. Today I have a special video for you. First of all, because it's from the desert in the Arava desert south of Israel. And second of all, because here I'm gonna draw a map of the purpose of me holding space for Connect, originating the group context or the community that I'm holding space for called Connect, and why did I start it, and also how it's connected to what I see in the world and what is needed in the world. And I just came back from this festival, Mama Africa Festival, just ended now. It's Saturday, it's about 10:45. And I just decided that this is what I want to talk about the most. I want to talk about what was my purpose to create and what am I doing? Like, actually, what am I doing with my life and what is the purpose of all that? And now all these things are connected. And one of the things that I'm walking with lately, so first of all, I hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to skip ahead if there's more interesting stuff coming up. But a few days ago I was walking around and I noticed there is this gap, because sometimes I feel scared that hard for me to talk about what I'm talking about, because there's such a big gap between where I am and what I'm doing and what other people know about that. And knowing about those worlds and those ways of thinking and mindset that I'm talking about and I'm using, it means knowing about them in general, like the information part, like what is Door is doing, what does Door do, like what is self-development, what are game worlds, for example, what is yoga and NLP and all these groups of people, eco villages around the world. These all are game worlds. Like, for example, school is a game world, and university, whatever, all this group, every time there's a group context, it's a game world. So this is why I changed the name of game world into a group context. So it's knowing the information about what group contexts are out there in the world, like knowing about them, knowing what they're doing, like information, for example, what happens in a yogic ashram, for example, or how does I don't know, like, even though I haven't been, but an NLP course looks like, how does a self-development workshop looks like. So I think not everyone knows the information of it, but also not everyone knows it also on an emotional level. And this is cool, being here in the festival. It was a reminder, like, being in a festival takes so much emotional energy. You know, you meet people, you go around, you're out of your normal day-to-day box, you know, you sleep in a tent, whatever. So it takes so much, and it's not only it's like in the emotional level to be in a festival, or to manage to, let's say, stay centered in a festival, or even to contribute something in a festival, like to hold space for a workshop or something. It takes a lot. It takes to be a certain genius. And I know a lot of people go to festivals, whatever, and just whatever, do drugs, get drunk. Not that that's also something, you know? It's also a certain dimension. But just to be in a festival, like, it requires a lot of, actually it's not only emotional, but it's 5 bodies. You know, and if you haven't watched the video about the 5 bodies or 6 bodies, go ahead. But it takes, intellectually, physically, emotionally, like energetically, it takes a lot. And so it was just a reminder to be in the festival, how much, like, how much I needed to go, how many festivals I needed to be there. Because I know a lot of people also that I'm working with that they would really have a hard time in a festival. Like, not for sure they can stay centered, not for sure they can hold space for something, not for sure they can have great connections in a festival. So knowing how to be in a festival, that takes a path, that takes a process. It takes growing into it. And of course, not to mention, I don't think everyone need to be the same, or everyone need to be in a festival. Like, that's only like a more like a lifestyle kind of thing. But even, how to be in a golf club, how to be in a study group, in a book study group. Like, as I go around the world, there's all these dimension, all these rooms that you go into, and suddenly a new dimension open up, like the gym. It's such a dimension, and someone had been in the gym for years, he sees things so different. So, saying all of that to just mention the gap that I feel that there is between someone that experience stuff that, like the stuff that is on my path, to where I am talking about it. And this is what I was walking with this gap in the last few days, and I felt sad about it, that I never put things together for people. I never okay, let's connect all of this, because sometimes I just talk about anger, or I just talk about my workshop or about my book, but I never get to go all the way and explain and connect things together. It's not about explaining mentally. So what is unique about my path? Why is there such a gap there? Well, let's say it starts with my book, The Superpower of Sensitivity, if you want to get to know, and this is why I wrote it also, so you get to know more of a journey of a sensitive being, or sense childhood, and to see how it walks all the way to the moment that you discover feeling work, you discover your feelings can work for you. So I describe a lot of this in my book, but basically growing up very sensitive, it's already a start of a journey, right? You initiated yourself into a very special life, because even if you have a really good life on paper, and I had the perfect life, being very sensitive makes all the emotions very big. So small stuff can feel really big. And of course, everyone are kind of sensitive to some extent, right? Like, we're all these sensitive beings. Oops. I don't know if you can see me well here. There you go, much better. So of course, all of us are very sensitive beings, and I think everyone is sensitive to a certain extent, also if it's 0%. But, and growing up very sensitive, and then going through the whole of, modern culture route, where you go to high school, and, there's the bullies, there's this, all of that. And then I was actually having a bit of a unique twist, because I was also in the army for 3 years. So that was a whole initiation of its own, like being in a boot camp. Like, sometimes I think, basically when I'm coming here to the desert, I'm like, wow, a boot camp. Like, how many people experience that? Like, it's such an extreme environment. And then being in that 3 years, and then being abroad a lot, like traveling in South America, in America, and East Europe, being in all this traveling, wow, that's takes a lot from you. And then really in university, I was traveling throughout this whole time, but really in university, where I discovered my depression. I was really depressed. I was also doing, I was partying a lot, so I was smoking weed every day, so I think this didn't contribute, and my habits were really bad. Like, I was still healthy. I was actually very athletic my whole life. Like, I was playing soccer in a very good level, not professional. So I was in good shape. I was running all the time and stuff, but it was my habits, my day-to-day habits, let's say, weren't really good. Like, also, I wasn't really alcoholic. I wasn't drinking that much, but for a college student, and as a very sensitive person, that didn't affect it very well. And so that's where I really discovered my depression in university. I was like, wow, there's something going on. I'm really depressed. Like, I'm getting up and that's not well. And this is where I went to, someone told me go to a psychologist. So I went to a psychologist and I went for a while, and someone recommended this guy, and it was nice, I guess. And then after a while he said, why don't you take antidepressant? Because it feels like, we keep doing these meetings and like it seems like you're in the same place. Nothing changed. I'm happy you admit it. So I took some antidepressant, and that really made me feel like a zombie. And feeling like a zombie as a sensitive person, it's much worse than being in depression, because like depression, what is depression is mixed sadness and anger mixed together. So when you mix them, sadness and anger, it creates a mixed emotion. So you cannot really use the emotion. You cannot really get the information behind the feeling. So it's really painful. For that, we do an emotional healing process, but I talk about it in other videos. I don't want to get into it. So I'm like taking this antidepressant pill. Wow, that made me feel much more worse. And that's where I was like, fuck, I cannot do that. Like, I have to stop that and find something else. And more or less in the same time, I started doing yoga. And my yoga teacher invited me to do a meditation. For me back then, it was super weird. Like, I was actually ashamed of it. Like, I was ashamed that someone would find out. And also, it wasn't that common as today. I know, I'm old. But now, like, when I started and I got into what I call self-development, I was the first one in Israel that hashtag התפתחות אישית, like self-development. Like, it wasn't really big back then. I know it sounds weird because now it's everywhere. And so doing yoga and then somehow stumbling onto YouTube back then, YouTube started, and stumbling into a self-development online product, which I bought. It was amazing. And that helped me to change all these habits and kind of set up a few mindsets together so I can feel better with my depression. And that helped me to crawl out of that pit. And I felt so much better every time. So I kept practicing this for like 7 years. I don't know, till today, it's more than 10 years probably. And I started also coaching because some friend of mine sent me like a guy that he was mentoring from university. We both in university we just finished university. And my friend was mentoring this guy. And this guy, like, was really bad. He tried to commit suicide and everything. But after a few years, the social workers stopped giving them anything. So he basically didn't have anyone. And they didn't give him another tutor from university because he also graduated. So my friend was like, I was tutoring this guy, now he has no one and he's depressed. So he gave him to me, and this was my first coaching client. And so I was going around with him. I think I did a good job because like a year later, his dream was to go to South America and to be able to be there because he was a bit depressed and everything was hard. And he called me from there and it was like, yeah, I'm doing great, So I was like, yes. That's why I started coaching in the beginning with my friends. Like, I called it self-development coaching. So it was really about changing all these habits, like physical, intellectual, energetic, even like, I subscribed them to yoga and meditation. But then I realized something was missing, and that was the feeling work, getting into, because I noticed even my clients, they change all this mindset and physically, and they do healthy habits, but they don't really, like, emotionally, nothing changed. And I didn't know about emotional healing processes back then, and I didn't know anything about feelings. So I was feeling stuck within myself because I also had a lot of big emotions, and I saw my client, something doesn't change. So I had this mirror, and I went to a festival, the Boom Festival. It was 2018, and I met these people that do feeling work. I entered one of their workshops, And that was like, whoa, this is different. I thought I know everything. Because back then I was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years in self-development. So I kind of heard everything, you know. And that includes like all the New Age workshops. Like I did breath work. You know, back then it was rebirthing, whatever. And I did all this New Age stuff in festival. So been around. And then I was like, whoa, this is different. And their feeling work was really different because it came from what they call next culture. I call it now thrive culture. It's a bit different kind of way of looking at it. So it was really different, and I got into that work, and I did that for 5 years until 2023, where I kind of started my own thing, Connect. And that's where I got to connect, because I started to see that the feeling work or the way they do it, it's, for me, there's a different direction to take it. And so then I left its whole community, and I left, and it's like, now I'm like me and 5-10 people. And I'm telling them that I'm starting over. I left all the groups, started over. Now there's like 170 people in the Telegram group that are in Connect. And by now it's, I don't know, 2 years, almost 3. We did a bunch of workshops around the world. There's a lot of stuff happening. It's still growing. A lot of adventures. You know, we took it to the world of adventures. We took it into the world of, you know, we're more kind of the people that go to festivals. We're more kind of those kind of people. So we have a different vibe, I guess, to all of that work. It's more about connection. This is why I call it Connect than other things. And let's say since I started these 5 years, I was doing probably more than 400 emotional healing processes for myself. So every time I had a stuck emotion, I could transform it. And I transform it in a way that doesn't involve releasing the energy and staying the same, basically. So these emotional healing processes are really big processes that help you transform things that never come back again. And you can see the new you on the other side. So this whole work is really transformation work. And transformation is different than self-development or self-improvement. Because in transformation work, you change. It's not you building another skill or another tool on yourself to keep doing the same. You change. So I changed so much during these 5 years and keep changing, keep transforming. Especially now when I'm on kind of my own edge, but I'm also on the edge of kind of people that I learn from, and I still learn all the time from people, even some people that I listen to, you know, on YouTube or I meet in workshops, whatever. I keep learning, but what I'm doing now, Connect, Thrive Culture, this is on the edge. Like, I don't know anyone that, I know people that does similar stuff, but I don't know anyone that's kind of like exploring something, researching something that's on the edge. And as you notice, and this is what I started the video with, if I'm on the edge of myself, or I'm on the edge of transformation work, or I'm on the edge of feeling work, imagine how far is that, like just those 5 years. Like for me, every month feels very edgy and very different. So this whole 5 years, how different it is from someone that, for example, did only shamanic work, or tantra, whatever, or yoga. So I'm just saying this I don't think there's anything better in life. I just think life is a bunch of dimensions and a bunch of doors and rooms. You just go into one room, bam, the whole thing changed. Whatever you thought about life changes. So it's not like that, you know, don't take me like that, but it's, imagine how different it feels to do imagine yourself after 400 emotional healing processes, you know, for yourself. And again, I'm not saying that I'm a better man. I'm not. You know, actually what you discover in the Connect work, that there's no ranks, you know, don't get enlightened. It doesn't go like that. Because really everyone is so different. They have such a unique path. You cannot compare anything or anyone to anyone. Just notice that I said that. So but you know, in your own path, imagine where would you be if once a week for the next 5 years, or almost once a week, you're going to do a big emotional healing process about something you're stuck with. And then you have a big team, and then you get possibilities whenever you're stuck. You get feedback and coaching. Like, feedback is huge. We give each other feedback all the time in a way that you haven't seen anyone work with a group that gives so much feedback to each other. This is insane. Like, the amount of heartbreaking feedback that I got. It's, by the way, feedback is an art. You can learn how to give Thrive Culture feedback in a different video, so look it up. But it's not like, oh, you're wrong, I'm right. No, it's not like that. There's ways to give feedback. It's really pretty out here. And I'm sitting in this So until here, I kind of summarize my journey and why it's different and why there is this gap that I was talking about in the beginning. Now I want to talk about what I do, like what do I actually do about this, and what the purpose of me doing that. So what I realized in this whole journey is when you're not really, and this is what I learned, in transformation work, feeling work, when you're not using your feelings, it's hard to transform, because there's going to be, every time you go into your edge, there is an emotion that you need to heal. Otherwise, it doesn't transform. You just release the energy or whatever. Just develop new theories, but nothing in you really transform. So what I discovered is a really simple connection. The more you transform is the more you take responsibility. And responsibility, it's not like modern culture responsibility, where if you're responsible for something, you're really to blame for it. It's really your burden or a liability. But it's more like, the more responsible, it's more you're able to respond. The more you be able to be centered and in the world, like in reality. Because the more you're in the world, this is something I took also from, let's say, the Jewish heritage, that the more you're in the world, the more that you would want to do something about the world. You want to fix the world. But it's not fixed that's for me, I guess, because the world has an inherent problem. The world is here, maybe I'm going deep here, hope it's not too fast. But the world for me is here almost as a training ground to learn all these things. It's not made to be this perfect walking on cloud kind of world, but it is about doing something about the world. The more that you do actually something about the world, also the more your life gets better. This is how you know. This is how you know what is the purpose of the world, because nobody can tell you. There's no authority or a wise person that can tell you what the world is about. It's really about the more you take more responsibility and care about other people and do something about fixing the world, take care of your environment, take care of people, think about how you can do something about the world. The more you do that, not as a victim, not as a responsible victim, the more you do that, the more your life gets better. And there is this inherent belief, but it's not a belief, it's almost like you sniff that in your life, that things that make your life better are usually part of the magical journey of life. And another way to know it is to look at the opposite way. If you look at it, is if the world is just chaotic and doesn't make sense and nothing gets better and your whole life is just a nightmare and it's all just shit, hell, basically, who would create this world? What is that? It doesn't make sense. It maybe makes sense in some alien mind, but for us, it doesn't make sense. So if you're human, a chaotic world that doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. It's not, you can think that as in theory, But as you go about life, it doesn't make sense. So this is how the more that life get better, but really better, not that you get more rich or powerful like the modern culture values, the more you actually get better, like the more you feel your conscious joy and your other conscious feelings, the more people are connected to you, the more you find connection, love, possibilities, inspiration, community, family, integration, the more, that's what we call life is better. So when you go up in the levels of responsibility, and as I said, it goes together with transformation, because the you that is now don't know how to take more responsibility, so you need to melt that mind machine of yours and gather that to the next level, so you take more responsibility. That's where your life get better. That's where you're starting to perceive more of the world. This is a lot of the cool yogis talk about, like Sadhguru, that the only thing you can really do more about in the world is perceive more, and that's where life gets more rich. And this is where life gets better, actually, when you start caring about other people. All these people, you start to perceive them and be in responsibility for them. And then, like, you feel more than just the little you're like, me and my little problems, So you're starting to catch, that's what happened to me. I started to catch on that thing and on this journey of taking more responsibility, more transformation. Also, there's another hint to this, that if you don't do transformation actively, you're still going to transform. That's the funny thing. Like, people that don't do transformation work, like some of my friends that are parents, for example, they're much more responsible than me. They consciously or unconsciously chose to raise kids, new beings, to bring new beings into the world. Like, wow, a lot of a lot of things that people do sometimes by mistake is much more responsible than me. There's no competition here, but it's more like if you don't do that, life kind of hammers you in the head. If you don't go through conscious transformation, like if you don't sit your ass in an emotional healing process or in a workshop and let the pain of feeling your emotions and feeling happen to you naturally, or go to your edge, feel the fear of looking in someone's eyes and share what you feel. I know it sounds really scary. If you don't do that, life hits you on the head, makes you to wake up. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And so this is basically middle ground for me. Like, I started to share about my whole background, then I got into the middle ground, where it's basically me trying to describe here, like, how did I realize that it's all about transformation journey, because it makes your life better. Anyways, you have to do it, and it's just a cool journey. It's a cooler journey than just being in modern culture, trying to make more money and power. So, okay, this is my middle ground. Now I started to develop Connect. What was the purpose of that? This is what I realized. We are all, like all these sensitive people, even people that understood this middle ground, we're still trying to make it, because I know a lot of people that are here. I know a lot. Even these people, like, they still do it as lone wolves. And I'm talking about the coaches out there, the tantric teachers out there, the yoga teachers out there. Whatever path you chose, what I see mostly is people that are doing it alone. And when I'm saying alone, sometimes, they have clients, and they have even maybe people that they train. Sometimes they have gurus and people above them. And sometimes even it's like a community, and they're doing it together in some way. So there are communities that they're doing it together out there, but a lot of doing it as lone wolves, which means that you don't have like a tribe. You don't have a bunch of people in your tribe that you can trust, that we're like, they're going to give me feedback, but they're also going to be there for me. They're going to kick my ass, but they're also going to be like in my wolf pack, doing things together. And this was me. I was a lone wolf. Like, it's a survival strategy. that most of the sensitive people have. I write about this more in my book, by the way, if you want to read it. So I noticed that a lot of us are lone wolves, and I thought, what do we need the most? What do I need the most? And the most that I needed is this tribe, is this collective, going about this together. Now, I haven't talked about it too much, but it's important to mention that doing this together, it's not in a modern culture way. So it cannot work when there's hierarchy. There's someone at the top, like, I'm the leader. There's no leaders in what we're doing. It's actually a circle, built like a torus. A circle is kind of dead sometimes, but like a torus is a shape that it's like the shape of an apple. It keeps breathing, getting energy from here. So it's the circle of connect in Thrive culture. In Thrive cultures, the culture is a circular toroidal culture. So the group context, the groups and the game worlds, as I said, that are in this culture are, if it's really a Thrive culture, they are toroidal. So there's no hierarchy. And then I noticed that I actually learned all of that in those 5 years from feeling work, but like, okay, now I have the technology, and it's not only about that, the decision making and all of that. I can be in this kind of group for 5 years and to see how things work. So I kind of got a sense of that it can work. So I was like, okay, we need to do something like this. We need to do it together, and we need to thrive. These are the three things. It needs to be Thrive culture, it needs to be connected, and it needs to thrive. So this was enough for me to go on this mission and start Connect, right? Because with Connect, there's a group of people. Most of them are really sensitive, amazing people, and the other ones, some people I don't know. I think I know most of the people, but I'm sure they are amazing, sensitive people. And we have a ways to work together. So when someone having an emotion, for example, we know what to do with it. And finding an emotion is finding a treasure. And we have different ways of thinking about things, finding possibilities. For example, I wasn't with my team here in the festival, and at one point I really got stuck and I felt disconnected. I felt like there's no possibilities. I went into my swamp, what we call the swamp, your dark little muddy place. And I could, if I had my team here be connected with me, I could also do it online. But it's like you have an emotional healing process. Are you hooked? We have this whole thing about being hooked, like you're getting robbed out of possibilities because you're hooked on something. It can be an emotion, it can be a trigger, it can be a box spot, whatever. You can learn about it in the unhookable training that we do. It's a 6 weeks. It's a really important training. So, I was hooked, and when my team was here, it's like someone can hold space for an emotional healing process for me. Someone can give me possibilities. Someone can hold space for an unhooking space. So you see, this is what I'm talking about. Like having a team and having a whole tribe of people like that. Like, why a tribe? Because, sometimes my team, nobody's going to be available to give you an emotional healing process. I want a tribe. I want a bunch of people that love giving emotional healing process, and that's what they do. Like, a bunch of specialists, a bunch of people, like in a tribe, you go around and there's the blacksmith, there's the fisherman, like that. Actually, I feel sad now. Yeah, I feel sad that I don't have that tribe really bundle up and gather together yet. This is my life mission that I'm telling you about. And what I could see here, one of the nights, like yesterday, Friday night, it was such a tribe feeling, even though we don't know each other so much. And tomorrow we're leaving. For a moment, we all want that so much, so we create this. So, we kind of leaned on the old tradition. We made the Shabbat song. It was really beautiful, the blessing of the bread and all of that. Everyone gathered, and then they had like this whole African tribe thing, because that's their thing here. But it was so beautiful. It felt like a tribe, like 400 people. everyone like cozy, you know, finding their own. They're the center of the village. Yeah, it was beautiful. I really want that to be permanent. That's why I'm feeling sad. I just want to be there all the time. So to end this video, I just want to share with you what I told someone. I told her that if everyone in the world had this kind of tribe, this little tribe of 400 people, I think all the problems in the world are going to go away. Because, you know, when you have this little tribe, like, what do you need? You know? What do you need? You don't need anything. So this is a thought that I'm going to leave you with. And I hope I describe here what I'm doing in the world. And yeah, I hope you join in some way, you know, in your own way. Or you do your own thing and I can support you. And anyways, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being on my team. If you want to know more about all of that, you know, it's kind of a never-ending game to discover it in the same time and to invent it. So you're welcome to check the website, 𝕭𝕠𝕠𝕠𝕠.com. And yeah, see you soon. Ciao.